Mineral nutrition is one of the important chapter from plant physiology of 11th CBSE biology. And from this chapter, we are going to discuss some of the important points from NCERT textbook and some of the concepts which has been asked in the previous NEET exam. And this video is going to be very helpful to all of you who are all preparing for the NEET exam. Children, first of all, essential elements for the plants around 17 required, that is categorized into two types, macro elements and micro elements. So total 9 macro elements required for the proper growth of the plant. They are carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur, calcium, magnesium and potassium. So if you see clearly, all these macro elements required for the growth of plant are all from S and P block elements. S and P block elements. So easily you can remember these 9 macro elements. Whereas micro elements 8 are required. They are nickel, zinc, copper, iron, manganese, molybdenum, chlorine and boron. So out of these 8 micro elements, except chlorine and boron, all the remaining micro elements belongs to D block. D block elements. So in this way you can find some tricks to remember these micro and macro elements. And remember here the micro elements whatever we have mentioned here, they are basically play the role of cofactor for most of the enzymes involved in photosynthesis, growth and respiration. Then if the level of sulfur, molybdenum, potassium and nitrogen decreases in plants, it is going to inhibit the cell division. If cell division inhibits, it is going to affect the growth also. So remember, sulfur, molybdenum, potassium and nitrogen, if the level decrease, it is going to inhibit the cell division. Okay, it is mentioned in the NCERT textbook. So these lines are very, very important. And remember, calcium is one of the essential element for the growth of root tips. Okay, and also it is very important part of calcium pectate, which is in middle lamella of plant cell wall. So calcium is very, very essential. And nitrogen and potassium deficiency, first we can find it's visible in the senescence leaves. Okay, in the senescence leaf we can able to predict the deficiency of nitrogen and potassium in the plant body. Potassium is the one element which can be readily mobilized in the plant body. Potassium is the element which is undergo readily mobilization, remember. And calcium is remobilized. Calcium is not remobilized. Potassium can be readily mobilized, whereas calcium cannot be remobilized. Remember these two elements, calcium and potassium. Whereas magnesium is very, very important for the chlorophyll synthesis. It is a part of chlorophyll structure, magnesium, remember. And manganese is involving in the photolysis of water of photosynthesis. In photosynthesis there is a photolysis of water. There manganese is going to play a very important role. And micronutrients like copper, manganese and iron are the main constituent of electron carrier, electron transport chain, electron carrier. So deficiency of copper, manganese and iron responsible. So deficiency of these elements affects photosynthesis and mitochondrial electron transport chain. And remember, boron is the one element that helps in sugar transport, boron. Now boron, as I said, it is helps to assists in sugar transport. And manganese deficiency cause gray spots in oat. Gray spot in the oat is because of the deficiency of manganese. And remember, the 4 structural elements, the 4 framework elements of the living organisms are hydrogen, carbon, oxygen and nitrogen. They are the framework elements or the structural elements of all living organisms, not only plants, all living organisms. And children, movement of mineral ions into the root cell is by passive absorption. It's by passive absorption. Energy is not needed for the movement of mineral ions into the root cells from the soil. It is occurred by simple diffusion. So this movement depends on the temperature. It depends on the temperature. Then inulin is a polymer of fructose. Inulin is the polymer of fructose, and that's why inulin stores the food, especially in the roots and tubers. Whereas pectin is a mucopolysaccharide. And it is the part of plant cell wall, and during the ripening of the during the ripening of fruits especially, this pectin hydrolyzed to give sugar. Pectin is a part of made up of mucopolysaccharide, and during fruit ripening it is hydrolyzed to give the sugar. And remember, nitrogen is a very essential element for the synthesis of amino acids, proteins, nucleic acids, coenzymes, and many more important constituents in the living cell in the plants. And the deficiency of nitrogen inhibits the plant growth, that we can identify by the yellowing of leaf called chlorosis. And magnesium activates enzymes, take part in photosynthesis and respiration. Magnesium activates the enzymes involving in photosynthesis and respiration, and it is the important part of chlorophyll structure. Magnesium is the important part of chlorophyll structure. Then remember one new word here, etiolated. Etiolated means the plant which are growing in the dark. The plant which are growing in the dark are called as etiolated plants. They lack chlorophyll, and because of the lack of chlorophyll, the leaves appear yellow. And this is not because of the deficiency of mineral. It is because of the growing of the plant in the dark, and due to the lack of chlorophyll, it appears yellow. It is not because of the deficiency of minerals. And elements like molybdenum, sulfur, nitrogen, if their level decreases, then the flowering is going to be delayed. Because of the deficiency of these elements, molybdenum, sulfur, and nitrogen. Necrosis, nothing but cell death or tissue death. It is because of the decrease in the level of calcium, copper, potassium, and magnesium, because they are highly very important for the activation of enzymes. Part of magnesium is a part of the chlorophyll. Calcium is a part of the plant cell wall. If the deficiency of these elements, it is responsible for the death of the cells, that is called as necrosis. And chlorosis is because of the deficiency of these elements: nitrogen, potassium, magnesium, manganese, iron, sulfur, zinc, and molybdenum. If their level is reduced in the plant, then the plant is going to suffer from chlorosis. Then manganese toxicity. Manganese toxicity means when the concentration of manganese increases, it is automatically going to decrease the level of iron, magnesium, and calcium, which is dangerous to the plant cell growth. Then beneficial elements, remember, beneficial elements are selenium, sodium, silicon, and cobalt. Beneficial elements I mentioned 4. And critical elements are nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. Critical means their deficiency is going to affect a lot to the plant growth. And the one element which helps in the opening and closing of stomata is potassium. Remember about a protein called leg hemoglobin. Leg hemoglobin present in the root nodules of leguminous plants. It is going to remove the oxygen. Because the presence of oxygen inactivate nitrogenase enzyme, which is going to take part in nitrogen fixation. Then ammonia, during nitrogen fixation, ammonia is the first stable product of nitrogen fixation in leguminous plant. Remember, ammonia is the first stable product formed during nitrogen fixation in the leguminous plant. So here ammonia, the nitrogen fixed to ammonia converts to nitrite first by nitrite bacteria like Nitrosomonas and Nitrococcus, and that nitrite finally converts to nitrate by nitrate bacteria called as Nitrocystis and Nitrobacter. In the paddy field, the nitrogen fixer is a bacteria called Azospirillum. Azospirillum in the paddy field fixes the nitrogen. Frankia, a nitrogen fixation in root nodules of ulnus. In the root nodules of ulnus, Frankia is going to fix the nitrogen from the atmosphere. And remember, Anabina is a free-living nitrogen-fixing cyanobacterium which can be symbiotically associated with water fern of Azolla. Water fern, there is a water fern called Azolla. With this water fern Azolla, Anabina is symbiotically associated. Moreover, Anabina is a free-living nitrogen-fixing bacteria, but sometimes it is going to symbiotically associate with the fern like Azolla. And nitrogenase is the enzyme that helps in nitrogen assimilation or nitrogen fixation. Azobacter is also a free-living aerobic non-photosynthetic nitrogen fixer. Azobacter. So these are the important points from this chapter. Please revise well and prepare for the coming exams. Thank you.